what we do here is go back.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting episode of Brews and Barbecue. On today's edition, we're going to take it back to the roots once again. We've been doing a lot of taco videos, but you guys seem to like them, so we're going to keep doing them. Today, we're going to be showing you guys how to make a Mexican traditional birria. And this can be eaten as a taco, just as a regular meat, with a side of rice and beans. This can be served as a soup even, because you essentially boil it in a broth is essentially what you do. But anyway guys, enough talking. Let's show you guys what you're going to need to make these tacos as perfect as they possibly can be. I'm going to show you guys how to make a red salsa this time too. That is off the hook. It was a hit. Everybody loved it. So without further ado guys, let's jump right into showing you guys how to make birria. The first thing we're going to start prepping is our chile pods. The first thing we're going to do is pick out 3 to 4 California chiles. But the chile train isn't stopping there. We're going to do about 3 or 4 Chilli Anchos. I say 3 to 4 depending on the amount of meat you plan on using. And the last type of chile we're going to be using is we're going to be singling out 4 Chilli Guajillos. You should be able to find these at most supermarkets, but if you don't, if you have a local Mexican market, that's going to be perfect. Now the next thing we're going to want to do is de-seed all of these chiles. So simply tear off the top of them, split them down the center, and de-seed. Now some people do like to include the seeds just for extra spice and flavor. I like to take them out because I don't think they make that much of a difference. Now through de-seeding, you're going to find some chile veins. They're the off-colored little strands that you see on the inside of the chile, and you want to be sure to remove those as well. But you also want to make sure you wash your hands after you're done touching the chiles. The last thing you want to do is touch your face or your eyes. We're also going to need a pot with water in it, and we're going to want to apply our chiles to the pot. After all your chiles are in the pot, make sure you put them to boil over some medium-high heat. Now, while we wait for our chiles to boil, we're going to get together the other seasonings for the sauce that we're making. One of the main ingredients we're going to be using today is some black peppercorns. I use about 12 balls of peppercorn. I do add more as the process goes. You just got to sample and taste it and see what's needed. The other thing we're going to be using is adding whole AllSpice balls. You're going to add about 6 of these to begin with, and again, taste it as you go and see what else you need to add. The next thing we want to add is about 3/4 of a tablespoon of ginger. I always tend to add a little bit more because I like the ginger taste, but 3/4 of a tablespoon should be good for you guys. The next thing we're going to do is add whole dried oregano, and you're going to add about a tablespoon of this. Again, I like it a little bit more, so add just a smidge. Do it to your liking. The next thing we're going to need is some ground thyme. And a tablespoon should be good to work with the amount of meat that we're doing here today. The other thing we're adding is 2 tablespoons of sesame seeds. And here's one of my favorite seasonings. We're going to be doing about a tablespoon of cumin. And now you can't forget the salt. I do use freshly ground Himalayan pink salt, and we use about 2 tablespoons of this. And of course your regular sea salt will work. Now make sure you get a good mix of all these seasonings and you should be ready to go. Now I have been mentioning the amount of use for the seasonings and the chiles, and you're wondering, Leo, how much freaking meat are you using? Well, what we're using is some chuck roasts, and more specifically chuck eye roasts, and we're using about 4 pounds. Now what we're doing here is we're just trimming off all that silver skin because it's no good when you're trying to chew on it. The other thing we do here is we break them down into smaller chunks. This helps to cook them faster, and it also helps absorb the seasoning better. Now after we got our chunks cut up, you're going to need 1 large mixing bowl. After you've added all your chunks of the chuck roast into the mixing bowl, you're going to want to season these. You season them with just basic salt and pepper. I won't bore you guys with that. Let's move on to the next step. The next step, after your chilies are boiled, you're going to put them into a blender. You want to make sure you put them all in there, and don't forget not a single piece. These are crucial to the recipe. Next, we're going to add in all of those seasonings we mixed together earlier, and you want to make sure you get it all in there. Now, we're going to add just a touch a touch of white vinegar. We're going to want to take an onion, half an onion to be specific, cut it up and toss it in the blender as well. The last thing we need to do is just add a little bit of extra salt. And now here we're going to want to add some of the water from the boiled chiles. Don't add regular tap water or from your refrigerator. Make sure you use that water again. After you blended it up, it should look a little something like this. You want to pour about a cup aside. You're going to need this for later. So take that cup, saran wrap it, and put it in the refrigerator for now. And now's the time. We're going to add our marinade to our meat, and you want to make sure you get a good coverage over all of the meat. And don't worry guys, we're going to get our hands dirty and we're going to mix it around so that we get perfect coverage over every single piece of meat. I do recommend you wear a glove for this because it might stain your hand just a little bit. And again guys, as I said, add more seasoning to your liking. I'm going to add a little bit more salt. It was missing a little bit, and trust me guys, I didn't taste it with the raw meat in there. I did taste out of the cup I poured out. The next thing we want to do is saran wrap it, and saran wrap it well so that there's no air getting into it. We're going to take this, we're going to put it in the refrigerator, preferably overnight, but if you have 4 to 8 hours, that works too. Now previously on this channel I've showed you guys how to make regular green salsa. I'm going to show you guys how to make a spicy red one today. The first thing you're going to need is a whole onion, but make sure to cut it in half because you're going to use all of it. After we've got our half an onion, the next thing we're going to want to add is about 3 to 4 teeth of garlic. We're garlic fans in this house, so we're going to use about 4 teeth here. Now what you want to do is you want to toast your 6 chiles de arbol is the type of chili this is. You're going to want to make sure you toast them and brown them, but not burn them. Do make sure you turn on your vents and open your windows because the spice is going to be in the air. Again, make sure not to touch your face before you wash your hands. After you're done browning them, pour it into the blender with your half an onion and you're ready to go and start toasting your tomatoes. Throw in the tomatoes, all 4 of them, throw in your teeth of garlic, and make sure you toast them until you brown these guys as well. To make sure your tomatoes are done, they will actually kind of start peeling a little bit and just turn to like a soft consistency. No garlic tooth left behind, and your tomatoes should look something like this. Make sure you add it all into the blender and we're ready to start going. Now only a crazy person would tell you salsa doesn't need any lime. You're going to want to cut a lime in half and add both ends to that sucker. Now don't forget you also want to season this, so we're going to add in just a pinch of dried oregano, some more of that thyme, some of that cumin, and last but not least some freshly ground salt and freshly ground black pepper. And now don't worry guys, all the exact amounts of the ingredients in the description down below. And how can we forget, we're going to do a half a head of cilantro. Remember, save the other half because we're going to add that to our tacos. And just a touch of white vinegar. Now after your salsa is nice and blended, get yourself a nice bowl to pour it into and pour it out. Make sure you give it a taste test before you give it to your kids, and also give it a taste test to add any salt or pepper that might be needed, or even some lime. Now that we got all of that out of the way and our meat has been marinating for overnight or 4 to 8 hours for you guys, go ahead and pour it into the biggest pot you have. And now what you want to do is you want to make sure you add some additional water to this. I always use the mixing bowl that I had the meat in, just so all the extra sauce that was in the bowl comes in with the pot. Now you want to add enough water to fully submerge all of the meat. And the last thing we're going to add is a few bay leaves. Add 2 to 3 bay leaves, add some extra freshly ground salt, and some freshly ground black pepper. What the heck, we decided to spice it up a little bit more, so we're going to do one more pass through with all the seasonings that we've used for the marinade. Cover that sucker up and you're ready to go. Now, after you've been boiling for a little bit, you want to add about 3 beef bouillon cubes. Now with the other half of that onion and the other half of that cilantro, we're going to be using the toppings. So cut these into small chunks, and I'm going to show you guys this little contraption that I bought for $10 at Walmart. It is going to save you some cutting time. I like cutting with my knife, but if that's not your biggest thing to do, go ahead and get one of these guys, and it's going to help you out tremendously. And look at that, after giving it a few tugs, open the guy up and you got freshly chopped onion and cilantro. Alright guys, so the birria is all done. It's still piping hot, so bear with me as I try to build this taco for you guys, but let's get after it. Come on up. So it's been cooking for, I want to say about 3.5 hours or so. And look at this meat, man. It's some good juices to it. We want to keep some of those. We'll just do that much to start with. Now the trick to it is you got to break it up just a smidge. Just a smidge bit here. Alright, get it all in those juices. Alright, next thing we want to do is you want to take a tortilla or two. And you want to fashion those guys on there just like so. Get a little bit of cilantro, smidge bit of onion. Last but not least, lime. And we're going to cut these the traditional taco way. Need to sharpen this knife. Take one of our limes. And squeeze it on just like so. Alright guys, and we are ready to go. I got those two tacos prepped already. I'm going to have my sister taste test for the first one and let her describe it a little bit. She's made this and she's kind of, she's got the good recipe that Grandma had. This isn't quite the Grandma's recipe, but we're going to get after it anyway. Give it a shot. Oh no, not that one. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Pretty good. I mean, not as good as mine, but you know, you can definitely taste the thyme and the cumin in there. Also the bay leaf and the salsa. It's not too spicy.
Okay, get out of here. Let me give it a shot. Here we go. See here. Oh man. Yeah, you want, Bubba, this one's got, here. Actually, tell me what you think, Bub. Yeah, tell me what you think. Is that pretty good? Yeah, oh, that's so good. You can definitely taste the spices better. As you go, I would taste a little bit of what's going on with it when the meat softens up. Because you want to get the meat to where it's shredding, but not completely soft and just soppy, because it's pretty much being boiled, right? So you want to make sure you don't add too much water, and you want to make sure you're tasting it as you go to make sure you got enough salt, you got enough thyme, pepper, and so on and so forth. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, drop a thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe. We're going to be doing a lot more videos just like these. Maybe we'll get my sister to hop on the channel, do a little takeover, and show us how she does her special birria that's supposed to be better than this. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, share, and subscribe. Try this at home and let me know how it turns out for you guys. And without further ado, we will see you guys on the next episode of Brews and Barbecue. We'll see you guys later. Can you say bye?